Thanks for coming. During regular presentations, I will introduce myself, tell a little bit about what I do at Hospice Care. Working at Hospice Care has given me some amazing opportunities. I've had all kinds of experiences that I never, ever could imagine. And since beginning, my goal has been to play whatever role is appropriate for me in giving our patients what they need to have quality of life at the end of their life. What I never anticipated is what they would give back to me. I could have never predicted all of the powerful lessons that they've taught me. And it's 3 of those lessons I want to share with you today. What I've learned about living while working with those who are dying. With their permission, I want to share parts of their stories and let you know how it's impacted me. The first lesson from Norman is stop waiting and start living. Don taught me to infuse life with gratitude. And then finally, from Maya, practice generosity of spirit. Stop waiting, start living. To change one's life, start immediately. Do it flamboyantly, no exceptions. It was a very hot day in June when I went with the nurse and the social worker for the very first visit to Norman's house. We pulled up, parked on the street, got out, and as we walked towards the front door, we noticed that across his garage was artificial greenery with strands of Christmas lights beginning to fall down. But we didn't think too much of it. We knocked on the door, waited for him to tell us to come in, and as we opened the door to go into the living room, in order to get around to where Norman was on the couch, we had to walk around a large artificial Christmas tree, fully decorated, with gifts underneath, lights, tinsels, ornament. But again, we didn't think too much of it, because a lot of our patients celebrate holidays earlier than expected, because they don't know if they'll be here when the date actually arrives. So we sat down with Norman and we went about what is a typical first visit, got to know him, let him get to know us. And when it came time for the nurse to do some of the physical assessment, I had a chance to turn, look at the floor under the tree at the gifts that were still wrapped, and I could see the names. Most of them said to Norman. A couple of them said to Richard, their adult son who cared for his dad. We didn't say anything that day. But several weeks went by, and I visited Norman quite often. And when I felt comfortable, I actually said, Norman, are you going to have Christmas in June? He said, oh, no. I said, oh, I just thought since your tree's up, that maybe you were going to have Christmas in the summer. Some families do that. He said, no. The tree and the gifts have been there since my wife died 4 years ago. I was shocked. I tried not to show it on my face and said, oh, okay. A couple weeks later, Norman died. He died with the gifts still unopened. He died never knowing what had been chosen just for him, picked out special. And I learned, stop waiting, start living. I began to think about those gifts sitting there for 4 years unopened. And I thought about my own life. What are the gifts that life has given me that I have yet to open? Life presents us with opportunities, with talents, with dreams, with plans. And how many times do we just let them sit? Never opening, never exploring, never expressing them, never sharing them with anyone else. And so this past year, in honor of Norman, I decided to stop waiting and to start living. In honor of Norman, I bought the tickets to the exotic beach in Mexico and went on vacation. In honor of Norman, I decided I was going to laugh without hesitation and cry when I needed to. In honor of Norman, I decided to let go of a grudge and to offer forgiveness. In honor of Norman, I paid a debt I owed 4 years ago for $200. It has felt wonderful to stop waiting and start living. Waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for the wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. What are you waiting for? Accept the gifts life's given you. Unwrap and explore each day. Do those things you've been putting off. Lesson number 2. Infuse your life with gratitude. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has lost, but rejoices for those which he has. Dawn is in her early 50s. Her diagnosis was what we commonly call Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS. She died 2 years ago. Every time I went to Dawn's house, she was so open about talking about how this disease had affected her. She just shared her feelings without hesitation. She was very honest about the loss associated with the decline of her physical body. One of the first times I saw her, she told me, "I am so sad to give up working, and I'm so sad that I can't help my husband volunteer in our church anymore. But at least I can be home whenever my grandkids stop by. I don't have to look at my calendar or schedule a special day. I'm here. At least I can do that." Every time I saw Dawn, that's how the conversation would go. Honesty about the loss, and yet such gratitude about what she still had left. The last time I saw Dawn, she was unable to speak, unable to eat, unable to really do anything for herself anymore. She had a communication board, and she pointed with her finger to the letters and slowly spelled out, "I miss being able to talk and use words to process what this is really like." And then, once again, she said, "But at least I can still cry. And you know how bad it hurts." I was stunned by her gratitude. I made my way to the car, just so renewed in my perspective on whatever troubles I had in my life. Dawn was grateful to the very end, to her final days, looking at what she had and not what she lacked. Gratitude expands hopelessness. As it expands, hopelessness decreases proportionately. What Dawn taught me was that as my gratitude grows, my sense of hopelessness or negativity decreases. And who doesn't need more of that? I found out this last year in practicing gratitude that it is a skill to be learned, and it takes practice for it to become a habit. It doesn't come natural to very many of us. And gratitude is a magnet. Having that as our perspective and way of life, it draws people to us. We like to be around others who are grateful. And so, in honor of Dawn, the past couple years, I don't say, "I'm angry and frustrated because in 2 years our house still hasn't sold." But rather I say, "I'm so thankful we have a house, and we can make the mortgage payments. In honor of Don, I don't say, I sure wish I was younger or thinner or richer, but rather, I'm so grateful that I'm healthy and strong and able to work. In honor of Don, I don't say this month, why does my brother have cancer? But rather, I'm so glad he lives close, and I'm so grateful that I can help him through this difficult struggle. What are you grateful for? And the final lesson for today, practice generosity of spirit. Don't hold tightly, don't hoard, don't squander, share freely with all. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service to others. Maya's 7. I met her when I went to her house where her mom was our patient. Florence. Breast cancer spread all throughout her body. Nothing more that could be done. And so she signed on to hospice. That first day, Maya greeted me at the door and quickly said to me, "Would you like to see my new sparkly flip-flops?" And I knew we would be good friends. Her mom constantly gave right to the end. Even when she was in bed, unable to do much more than talk, she would offer us a more comfortable chair or instruct her husband to go get us something to drink so that we'd be comfortable for our visit. And Maya was there all along, in and out of the room, laughing, talking, crawling up on her mom's bed. Florence had told her family and told her care team, "I don't want to die at home. I want to be at home as long as I can. But when the end is really close, I want to go to your inpatient unit because I don't want to leave my daughter, Maya, with that picture and image in her imagination, in her mind, of seeing me dead here in the bedroom." And so as the weeks progressed and that time came, she was transferred to our inpatient unit. She was here for a few days. And her final day that she died, someone on our inpatient unit noticed Maya around that whole day, and they remembered our Dory Bear program. Now, our Dory Bear program is a program where people buy brand new teddy bears, donate them to our organization, and then our staff is free to give those out to people who might benefit from them. And one of our nurses picked out a very special bear for Maya. Her mom died, the funeral happened, her dad called and said, "Would you come? Now it's been 3 days after the funeral. Would you check in on Maya? She won't talk much to me right now, but I think she'll talk to you." So I said, "Sure." And I went to see Maya at her house. She was excited to show me the dress she had worn to her mom's funeral. She was excited to tell me about playing with her cousins that had all come to attend her mom's memorial service. I asked her about how it was, how she was doing. Did she miss her mom? Was there anything she was afraid of? And she answered all my questions. And then, as if something triggered her, she stopped and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I got this teddy bear at that place you work at where my mom died. I want to show you." So she ran to her bedroom, got her teddy bear, brought it back, showed me this beautiful white fluffy bear. She said, how do you get these teddy bears for free?" So I explained to her how we got the bears and why we gave them away. And then she got a very quizzical look on her face. She said, do you know other kids like me whose moms have died?" I said, "Yes, I do, Maya." Okay. She turned hears things moving around and shuffle, 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 and something falling on the floor. And about 2 minutes later, she came out holding a stuffed purple poodle. She said, would you give this to another a kid whose mom dies? I said, well, Maya, is that something that belongs to you? Yeah, but I want another kid to have it. I said, well, are you sure you want to give it away? Yep. I said, well, let's ask your dad. Well, her dad thought it was a great idea. Boy, I gathered my things, told her goodbye, got to my car, and completely fell apart. Here it had been 8 days since her mom's death, 3 days since her mom's funeral, and she already was willing to give to someone else. Happily, joyfully, she was excited. She already had an understanding that there were others in need, and she could help meet that need. To share our resources with others is to expand our own world and change our life. Because when we step outside of our world to give of our time or our money or our talent or our emotional support, it forces us to go into someone else's world. And when we go into someone else's world, then any possibility could happen. It's when we stay cloistered alone in our own need that our world becomes very small, very narrow, and we close ourselves up. Generosity opens up the wounded heart and makes a space for joy. Over the last couple years, in honor of Maya, I've given, I've volunteered, I've initiated without being asked. In honor of Maya, I surprised an acquaintance that sat across the restaurant from me and paid for her dinner. In honor of Maya, I've met my stressful, hurtful, difficult days, not with, who can do something for me? But rather, today of all days, where can I be generous? Who might I give to? When you become detached mentally from yourself and concentrate on helping other people with their difficulties, you'll be able to cope with your own more effectively. Somehow, the act of self-giving is a personal power-releasing factor. Where can you practice generosity? So 3 lessons that have reshaped